All right, guys, I'm back. E3's come and gone, but there are still lingering thoughts and lingering topics I want to cover. I actually made a second video in regards to the whole Cyberpunk thing, but I kept having to remake it because it was difficult to get everything I wanted to talk about in one 15-minute video. So I'm going to have to break this down into two videos, and hopefully they're not going to be nearly as long as that one video was. So hopefully they'll be um, less than 15 minutes long a piece. But either way, the first video I want to make, and this isn't going to be a very pleasant topic, and I do try to keep things positive, but it's going to be about vitriol. The vitriol surrounding anybody that has a dissenting opinion. I guess not just about Cyberpunk, but any kind of a video game preference, whether it be video games or anything political or socio-scientific or anything at all. We tend to be very tribalistic in our inclinations and very bigoted in our views on what we think is right or wrong and how we should treat people that we don't agree with. Now, having said that, I do really want to ground this within the context of the whole cyberpunk first-person backlash. And yes, it's a very real backlash. There's a lot of people disappointed. A good portion of the fan base. Am I going to say the majority? No. It's probably a good 30% at most. In other words, there's probably 30% of people who are die-hard fans, and that's of first person. That's probably where a lot of the vitriol is coming. Having said that, I will concede to this. A lot of it probably came, like a lot of racism or bigotry, came from the elitist perspective of people who are into third-person action or third-person narrative-driven games, whether they be open world or linear. There is this type of sense of elitism that some people who enjoy those games have. And I'll tell you why I know this is as far as behavior and overall attitude, I've participated in that, mainly in private conversations here at home. But when you have these attitudes, you can't necessarily contain them. You get on the comment sites, and sometimes that bigotry seeps out. So maybe it's just desserts that we're getting when we have such a counter reaction from fans of first person. But that doesn't mean there's not a valid concern. It doesn't mean that there isn't a reason why CD Projeck Red shouldn't take us seriously. They should. They should very much take us seriously. And people that are huge fans of the first person perspective need to take it seriously as well, because there are physical ramifications for a series that doesn't make enough people happy. And listen, this is going to be about a couple of things. This is going to be about the vitriol. This video is going to be about the vitriol, and it's also going to be about the ostrich, the proverbial ostrich putting its head in the sand. And by that I mean you could wish away the fact that there is such disappointment. The fact of the matter is, it's not going to increase. Wishing away my disappointment won't translate to greater sales. If anything, not addressing and ignoring the disappointment, the mass disappointment, is going to have some very serious consequences on the bottom line and the future of the Cyberpunk franchise. And by Cyberpunk, I mean the specific Cyberpunk CD Projeck Red owned franchise. So there's got to be a better way to communicate. There's got to be an appreciation for looking at and appreciating somebody else's perspective. And I realize it's so much easier to say that when you're the one being transgressed, whether it's somebody criticizing you for criticizing an artistic endeavor. And I want to point out that the vast majority of the backlash, so to speak, is not people saying that, listen, we disparage CD Project Red. We think that what they're making is garbage. We don't like their products. We don't understand why anybody's buying. On the contrary, I think these people are saying we really, really don't want first person only, but we really, really, really want to play this game very badly. I think there's a vision, and I'll get that later, to that later on in the video, so it'll make a nice transition for the next one. There's a vision for what we all want to see, and that vision isn't being met. Another thing on top of the vitriol, which is toxic and counterproductive, we also have something that to me speaks of a bigger problem with CD Projekt Red, and that is the deliberate erasing or silencing of its own customers. And yes, I mean people who are paying money. If you paid for The Witcher, you paid for The Witcher, you got a wonderful product. You're not entitled to anything per se beyond that contract. In other words, I give you these $85 and you give me The Witcher, or $80 or whatever it turned out to be for the Blood and Wine expansion, the season pass, so to speak, and the Witcher full game. Some people got it on sale. I think right now you can pick it up for $25, which I'm seriously thinking about doing so I can play it on the Xbox. So beyond that, there isn't, I understand, any more of a binding contract. But from the perspective of a patron, then yes, there is an understanding that, hey, listen, I'm giving you money for your products, but in exchange there's a certain product that I want. I really love that product. I understand my continued support of your products, basically purchasing The Witcher 3 and purchasing Blood and Wine made Cyberpunk possible. I understand they got a considerable amount of money from the Polish government, but peanuts compared to the revenue collected from The Witcher. And yes, we got an amazing product. Again, technically they don't owe us anything else. But keep in mind that it's that client base that made The Witcher, or made Cyberpunk possible. It's those huge fans of RPGs, open world, in third person. When we got all the custom armor, whether it was the Toussaint armor, Velen armor versus armor from the Skellige Isles, the armor from the Ufiri, I think it was called, the vampire armor. I loved the red vampire armor, very reminiscent of the Frank Stoker armor, and it was amazing in its capabilities and allowed you to be seriously overpowered and just wreak devastation upon your enemies, especially because in addition to that, in addition to your armor ratings and your weapons ratings, you were able to do so much as far as expansion of abilities. So yes, you need to take your fans into account. And while sometimes you have to stick to your guns in regards to your artistic vision, I completely understand that. You also want to deliver something that somebody actually, or the majority of your fans actually want to play. And there should be room for compromise and catering to in that regard. There should be room for that loving, nurturing relationship between artisan and patron. Having said that, when CD Projekt Red is very, how can I put it, dismissive and almost trying to sabotage or undermine a customer or consumer movement by silencing whatever dissension so that it doesn't grow or the ideas don't propagate, that's downright dishonest and underhanded, to be perfectly honest. It also speaks to potentially other truths in regards to the rumblings as far as the nature of the company and its treatment of its own employees. It was more than just a few people here and there. I think that, whenever you're trying to silence the people that are making everything possible for you with your business endeavor, and trying to make it where their voices don't count, and where you don't have to take what they say into account, where you don't have to regard them, where you literally don't have to make them as happy. There's a fundamental breakdown in that relationship between us and CD Projeck Red. And when you couple that with another disappointment, great disappointment for me, which is the lack of flying cars, which has now been confirmed, then you have a product that is turning out to be considerably different than what I thought and what a lot of people thought would be the quintessential Cyberpunk game. Kind of like Black Flag was the quintessential pirate game, and I guess you could say Origins was the quintessential Assassin's Creed Ancient Egypt open world game. Cyberpunk was supposed to be, in my mind, in my heart, I think in the hearts of a lot of people, that quintessential third-person open world Cyberpunk role-playing game. And I understand that there is a design need for the first person to be there for immersion and facilitating the basic utility of a cyberpunk experience. I do not discount that. And within the scope of some kind of a flexible solution where you have enhanced options for experiencing both, I think the first person perspective is actually a good thing. I definitely don't want to discount that. But I also want to say that, and I guess I could save this for the next video, that there is a reason why a lot of people don't like first person. Anyways, that's basically what I wanted to put out there, is that there has been the vitriol, it is counterproductive, there is going to be a financial backlash, and there's got to be a remedy for it. Alright guys, that's going to do it for me now. I might make another video. I'm probably going to make another video, maybe one or two more videos, making sure that I can cover everything I wanted to cover within this series. Alright, you guys take care. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Like always guys, keep it civil, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.